You know, I don't usually toot my own horn when I'm right about something, but we're going to be doing a little toot tooting today. Because you know what? I was like one of the only people in the world who went into this Xbox thing with an open mind. What did I say? This entire time, it was not going to be as big of a deal as people were making it out to be. And I got so much heat for that. No, it's going to be the end of Xbox. They're getting out of consoles. Game Pass is dead. They're going third party. And lo and freaking behold, we had the Xbox podcast taking place today with Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty. I just got done watching it at like 4 times speed so that I could get this video out to you. But it's not doom and gloom. It's not the end of Xbox. I tried to tell you guys this because I am the king of Xbox. You know, I'm the king of video game YouTube. Let's just call it a spade here. I'm just kind of joking about this. So what is happening with Xbox? What is indeed their future? What are these games coming to other platforms? Well, we learned some things about it. There will be 4 games going to other platforms. Now, they did not announce these games as far as what they were, but through some deductive reasoning, I think we can establish what these titles are indeed going to be. What about Starfield? What about Indiana Jones? Because there was heavy rumors that Starfield, Nate the Hate caught a bunch of strays because he kind of said, hey, you know what? I've heard this Starfield thing might not be happening. And people got mad at him for telling the truth instead of doubling down. And now all those people that doubled down, they look like idiots because Starfield and Indiana Jones are not those games. They're not in these upcoming 4 titles that are coming to other platforms. So the whole hoopla was essentially created by these journalists, quote unquote, who were citing these things and like forcing Xbox to make a stance and make an announcement on this stuff. Like it's pretty ridiculous, in my opinion, just how far out of control this got. And just to see these people doubling down and stuff like that on Starfield for it not to be going to PlayStation 5, like we need to start looking at things from a different lens with a lot of this stuff. So when it comes to figuring out what these 4 games are going to be, these 4 games, according to Phil Spencer, are over a year old, and 2 of them are community-driven games. So right then and there, that means Sea of Thieves. There was a little tease that Sea of Thieves might be coming to Switch and PlayStation 5 done by the Sea of Thieves development team. Phil said that the companies involved in the games that are going to be multi-platform experiences will be making their own announcements on on their own time, but that'll be happening very soon. But when it comes to community-driven games, I think Sea of Thieves is one of them, and I think Grounded is another one. I think that'll find a good home, especially on the Nintendo Switch. You know, I didn't really care for the game, but it seemed like a lot of people liked it. So those are probably the 2 community-driven games. And he also said there are 2 smaller games, which, there we go, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, like I have been saying this entire time. Phil also said this has no bearing and no difference to exclusivity when it comes to Xbox games. So you're still, even if a year later some games end up going to other platforms, you're still getting them on the Xbox first. And they're being designed with the Xbox in mind and then ported over to these other platforms. So if we're talking about Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, and Pentiment, those games probably should go on other platforms. Those games have probably met a market cap on the Xbox for Sea of Thieves and Grounded. And then with Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, like, why not make some additional money on those games that were smaller titles that people enjoyed, but you limited it to just the Xbox brand? Like, it sounds exactly like I've been trying to say this was going to be, but people just didn't want to hear it. They rejected Jesus's message. And I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but, you know, like, I could be like one of the 12 disciples or something like that of Xbox. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyways, let's keep this train rolling because we got to talk about Game Pass. We have to talk about Game Pass. Is this the end of Game Pass? Is Game Pass going to PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch? No, it's not. Game Pass will remain only on Xbox. The first party games that have been announced and that are coming will still be available on Game Pass on day one. And hey, Diablo 4 is now coming to Game Pass on March 28th. So they once again are doubling down on Game Pass. Now, that doesn't mean that Game Pass's price won't increase because, well, I definitely think that's probably in the cards, especially when we get to these Activision games and, you know, these Blizzard games coming out. But still, as it stands right now, it seems like Game Pass is remaining the same. Nothing is changing. None of the core fundamentals of Game Pass are changing. You might see a price increase, you might not. But as it stands now, everything is fine with Game Pass the way it was intended. But what about hardware, RGT? It's all over. They're getting out of the hardware business. No, they're not. They're sticking with hardware. They're sticking with technology. They have a new announcement for the holiday season. It's probably going to be that redesigned Xbox Series X that doesn't have a physical disk drive on it, but it has 2 terabytes of room. It, of course, has the new controller, like we've already seen from the Activision Blizzard court case with Microsoft, where they had to showcase this sort of stuff. And they even say they're working towards a next generation platform that'll be a big leap in graphics and technology. So what did we learn today, folks? What did we learn today? That a lot of people are going to be taking L's today. But one man that is not taking an L, one man that was pretty much spot on with this whole thing, was RGT85. 4 games are coming to other platforms. 2 community-driven, Sea of Thieves and Grounded. I feel pretty confident in saying that. 2 smaller games, Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment. Are you going to miss those games? Are those games something that you're holding near and dear to your heart? These are indicative of the Xbox brand. No, they're fine titles in their own right. I started playing Sea of Thieves once again somewhat recently within the past 6 months, and I actually enjoyed it. I was playing it with Spawnwave and MVG and Nate the Hate. We were having a good old time playing it, you know, just getting on other people's ships and stealing their booty and, you know, stabbing them and shooting them and stuff like that. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. That's a lot better than it was when it initially launched. But these are not huge games that are going to be damaging to the Xbox brand. Game Pass staying exactly how it is and staying exactly the same. That's a good thing. You know, I understand why a lot of people thought this was potentially an ending point of Xbox, but all they did was come out and say, yeah, there's a couple games that are going to be going to other platforms. We think that we can make some money doing that. And these games really, you know, they're not like super big titles, or they're titles that have reached a maximum audience on Xbox. Game Pass staying the same. Now Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass, and sticking with hardware, not getting out of the hardware industry, not getting out of the hardware side of things. It seems pretty much like Xbox has been doing business for a while now. You know, they have stuff like PC Game Pass. They have stuff like where you can play on your mobile phone or cloud streaming and stuff like that. But there's no groundbreaking change that is happening with this. And a lot of these false prophets that were out there preaching about, you know, all of this sort of stuff, that it was so much bigger than it was, we need to look at them with a bit of a stank eye. But you don't look at RGT with that stank eye, because I was right. I was pretty much spot on with this. I told everyone not to worry. Don't get your panties in a wad. But panties were indeed in a large wad. And it's ridiculous. But I mean, hey, you know, that's the video game industry. Where the hell is the Nintendo Direct presentation? I don't know. A lot of Nintendo YouTubers got some egg on their face as well. That's why I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber, baby. Let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below, though. Are you surprised that this was essentially a nothing burger, that the internet forced them to pretty much make this presentation to quell fears that only existed because journalists were doing a shitty job of their job and putting people into a tizzy and panic and all this sort of stuff? Because, I don't know, man, that's pretty ridiculous to me. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel and you want the real king of Xbox, I am he. I will be on an Xbox podcast tomorrow night with Kid Smooth. because I like Kidsmove. He's a funny guy. But let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. All jokes aside, I'm glad this is the direction that Xbox did today, and I'm glad that it's a nothing burger, because competition is a good thing, and you need competitors in this video game landscape. And as always, guys, thank you for watching this video. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Like the video, share it around, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.